In order to defeat the newly returned Hush, the Dark Knight will be forced to make some difficult decisions he never thought possible. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Batman issue number 159, the continuation of Hush Part 2, Back in the Habit. So then, picking up directly from where the last issue left off, Batman just narrowly managed to save the life of the Joker from one of Hush's many death traps. Tommy Elliot was clearly trying to test his old friend Bruce's famously infinite font of mercy even for his most hated foe. However, it seems that the real twisted part of the game doesn't really start until now. Yes, Batman saved the Joker, but now he has to actually keep him alive. And also deal with how that might very well look to the people around him. It's because of that Bruce doesn't actually take the Joker to the hospital. Instead, he decides to take him to Leslie Tompkins, a longtime family friend of the Waynes, as well as an accomplished medical professional in her own right. Well, I say longtime friend of the Waynes, Jeff Loeb seems to think differently in this issue. Because get this, in a flashback to the night the Waynes died, Bruce says that that was actually the first time he ever met Leslie Tompkins, a kind woman who took him in and showed him compassion on the worst night of his life. Yeah, this kind of doesn't gel with anything. Hell, in the last Detective Comics arc, Leslie talked at length about how long she's known Bruce and his family. Then again, Leslie Tompkins is one of the strangest DC characters because there seems to be so much discontinuity surrounding her all the time. I mean, seriously, she never looks the same twice. And she seems to age forward and backwards depending on who's drawing her too, but I digress. Leslie does everything in her power to try and fix the Joker's grievous injuries, though even she has to question why Batman would bring him to her of all people. Is it because he didn't want to be seen at the hospital, or was it because he was hoping deep down in his most secretive heart of hearts that she would fail to actually get the job done? It's an interesting conundrum to be sure, and probably the first truly compelling thing Hush has done in this brand new series by actively trying to weaponize Batman's own sense of mercy against him by having him actively doubt himself. Now, Leslie ends up working through the night and into the morning, and by that afternoon, she manages to get the Joker stabilized. Of course, he won't stay stable forever. His jaw has been wired shut, meaning that he's going to need a feeding tube or he's going to end up dying all over again. At first, Leslie suggests taking him back to Arkham, but Batman knows he can't do that. Arkham isn't exactly safe on the best of days, and Hush has already almost killed the Joker once, so it would be nothing to try and come at him again there, meaning that with no other options, Batman is forced to house a comatose Joker inside the Batcave until he's well enough to be moved elsewhere. Again, really pushing Batman to the limit and making him work for that no-kill rule he has. Now, with a comatose clown prince in his care, Bruce decides now might be an interesting time to run some tests on him and see what he can find. Yep, his frontal cortexes are all sorts of messed up, no fingerprints, no footprints, all either burned off by acid or by the man himself. Then you have the famously pale white skin. Turns out Joker is literally bleached down to the cellular level. It's while running all of these tests, Batman ends up getting a gun pressed up against the back of his head by a mysterious unknown invader, which is obviously Red Hood, because I mean, come on, he's on the cover of the book for crying out loud. Though, for what it's worth, Red Hood's inclusion here is actually pretty fascinating, and the book does play on some ideas that were planted all the way back in the original Hush story, if you remember. In that story, Hush used the sad memory of Jason's death to try and put Bruce off his game by making it look like Red Hood had returned, and was actually the one trying to kill him and destroy his life. Of course, it was eventually revealed that that was just Clayface playing the part of a dead Jason, but because that scene was so beloved by fans, they actually ended up retconning it later to say that Bruce actually did fight Jason there for like 90% of their confrontation, and because of that, Bruce actually isn't sure if this is the real Jason he's dealing with, or just Hush screwing with him again, and because of that, Bruce decides to take one of Jason's guns and shoot him in the mask. Thankfully, the helmet ends up absorbing most of the damage and revealing that, yeah, this is really Jason. Why the hell is Jason being all threatening to Batman right now? Haven't they been on good terms for the last little bit? Well, yeah, but once Red Hood heard that Joker was recovering in the Batcave, he lost his shit and decided to try and kill him all over again, because with Jason Todd, it doesn't matter how much time has taken place from the events of Death in the Family till now. Writers can unfortunately only give Jason like 2 different stories to be told over and over again ad nauseum. To Batman's credit, though, he actually does try and disarm the situation without fighting, saying that Jason shouldn't be angry at the Joker anymore after all these years. He should be mad at Batman. It was Batman who failed him that fateful night, and Batman has blamed himself every Knight since. This masterful piece of parental guilt tripping ends up not working though, as Red Hood just opts to knock Batman out with the butt of his gun. And hey, if this story development bothered you because it felt out of character, all I can say is buckle up, Buttercup, because the worst is still yet to come. It's after that we transition on over to the Gotham City Clock Tower, where Nightwing and Batgirl are still discussing the Bat family's computer system being compromised from the end of the last issue. Barbara has gotten desperate, and because they are almost certainly dealing with Hush again, she has decided to do something very brash. Mainly call in some outside help with some particular insight into Hush. Of course, I am talking about Edward Nygma, aka the Riddler, who, as we can see here, has gotten a full radical redesign complete with a haircut, question mark, face tattoo, brand new military style costume. And the fact that it looks like he's put on about 30 pounds of muscle since the last time we saw him, which was literally in the last arc, by the way, which, need I remind you, during that story, Riddler manipulated Jim Gordon into killing the mayor before almost kickstarting World War III. So why Barbara would ask for his help specifically and why he's not in super prison is anyone's guess. Well, okay, I actually know why they're doing this. It's because if you remember the original Hush, Riddler was basically the true mastermind behind the events of that story, being the one to put Thomas Elliot up to the whole Hush business, and because of that, he must be some sort of expert, I guess. Now, as the comic comes to a close, Batman ends up coming to inside the Batcave. The Joker is gone, and so is Red Hood. This naturally begs the question, how the hell did Jason know the Joker was being held at the Batcave at all unless Hush told him? And I mean, it certainly wouldn't be the first time the two were in cahoots with each other, would it be? And so that was Batman issue number 159, everyone, and overall I felt conflicted about this issue. On one hand, I actually liked it a lot more than the first part of this Hush 2 storyline. And yet, on the other hand, there were several things that really ended up impacting my enjoyment of the whole thing, mainly characterization and continuity. I get the sneaking suspicion that Jeff Loeb hasn't read anything Batman related since he was writing comics regularly. At times, it really does feel like this story is taking place in a completely different continuity on a completely different Earth, and hey, if fan speculation is true, maybe they actually did start developing this one as a kind of standalone in its own universe sequel before eventually saying, hey, we're gonna reboot the series with Matt Fraction anyway, might as well make this part of the mainline book. There's definitely some more interesting ideas to chew on in this series. For one, in the original Hush, Tommy Elliott went out of his way to weaponize all of Batman's different enemies against him. Here, though, Hush seems to be trying his hardest to actually put a major wedge between Batman and the rest of his family. Then, of course, we have all the stuff with the Riddler, which is a hard pill to swallow, yet at the same time, it actually seems like Jeff Loeb is trying to meet head-on one of the harshest criticisms of the original Hush, and that is basically the last reveal with Edward Nygma. Kinda ends up undercutting a ton of the stuff that Hush himself actually did in that original story. And I will be interested to see if we actually get Hush and Riddler sharing some dialogue in this sequel. Overall, I would give this one a much more positive 7.5 out of 10, and I am interested to see where the story goes from here. Hey there everyone, it's your old pal Cape Joel again, thanking you so much for watching to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, why not check out my Amazon link down in the description. Yes, that's right, the Cape Joel channel officially has its own Amazon storefront now. You can pick up a comic or anything else for that matter, and if you did, you'd really be helping me in the channel. So with that out of the way everyone, I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.